Constructing your life is about much more than just building a bank account. Each week, join real estate entrepreneur and mindset coach Austin Linney as he interviews guests who are constructing their dream lives and impacting the world around them on a daily basis. If you're an entrepreneur or wanting to start a business, or you just want to hear motivating stories of how others have overcome the odds, you are in the right place. And now for your host, Austin Linney. All right, guys, welcome back to Construct Your Life. I've got one of the men. It's hard to even put into words how much this guy means to me. I consider him in my top three of people that I listen to and care about the most. Mr. Brad Johnson, how you doing, sir?
I'm well, Austin. Thank you, brother. Good morning.
So we were talking before the podcast. Brad, we're not going to give Brad a bio. We're going to let Brad tell you his story because he says, I think is my new favorite line, bios are meaningless. So why don't you give us a little context to that?
I appreciate that, man. You know, I woke up this morning. First off, I just want to acknowledge you for starting this podcast and just let you know how much I appreciate you and how you value relationships and inviting me to come on and to share this morning. And yeah, it just feels really good to be able to connect with you this way, brother. So thank you.
Thank you.
So yeah, this morning when I woke up, I was feeling a little bit nervous. I was feeling a little uncertain as to how this was going to go and how much preparation I needed and exactly what we were going to be talking about. And then my self-doubt started creeping in, like, oh my gosh, my bio, like, what are the highlights I get to pick out about who I am and what defines me? And then I realized that a bio is generally a bullet point list of all of our accomplishments. And we define ourselves by our accomplishments. And it's an always and never ending escalating game of what we have done as it defines us. Who are we? What have we done? And we tend to compare ourselves, and it's a game of comparison. And so I thought, you know, I feel gratitude for what I've accomplished in my life. But I feel more defined by where I have made my mistakes and where I've failed. So I feel it would be more valuable if I would acknowledge the more painful parts of my life and the more challenging and difficult parts and those moments that I've had to endure, that it's allowed me to appreciate the smaller successes, the lack of a need to compare myself and always be grasping for that next level or that next rung, so that I can appreciate the simplicity in a goal rather than thinking that there's something bigger waiting for me.
And as I sit here, just with my heart as happy as it ever can be, you are the true definition for the reason this podcast got started. And this conversation is the catalyst for this conversation, because you are somebody that I look at who has constructed a life on your terms. And I'm sure it's been a process. I'm sure, as you sit here today, you weren't planning on moving to Maui right away. But, something came along, the coronavirus, and you shifted and you pivoted and you found the good in it. I mean, you live in paradise. It's not the worst thing in the world, but you're somebody I respect for constructing your life, pun intended with the podcast. So how have you gone about doing that? How do you set the intention? Because something that I want to comment, and everybody says this, not just me. Every word that comes out of your mouth has intention behind it. There's no wasted motions. There's no wasted words. There's no wasted minutes. Right? Like when I leave a conversation with you, I'm exhausted. Like after this, I'm going to go take a nap in the hot tub because I almost prepared for this conversation for a week, and because I'm like, well, make sure my questions are good. And so like, I love how you're like, well, we're not going to do the bio, like screw the bio. Like, guess what? It's my podcast. I can do whatever I want. So we're just going to have a conversation. So how have you gone about creating this, what I consider to be, just an amazing life, right? And I was just saying, the first time I spoke to you, you were living in Cartagena, Colombia. How long were you there at that time?
That was month number 1 of 3 months of my wife and I traveling, and that was in the fall of 2018. And so we were in Cartagena for a month before moving on and living in India and Sri Lanka for a little bit.
And so what has happened to Brad Johnson, if I can kind of open-ended lead you? We're just going to say what we're doing, guys. We've had training. So if I could lead you into the conversation on how you got to this place, how you've basically set up your life through massive intention, opposed to like, I don't see you as a result-driven human being, is what I'm saying. I see you as a kind of a journey, a processor.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Thank you. I received that. And I also, the only way I can answer that about how I've constructed my life is it's been ham-fistedly. It's been through some trial and error. It has been experiencing who I'm not so I can appreciate who I am. It is making poor choices and being struck in the face with the consequences of those choices so I can deeply learn and embody my screw-ups. I want to be mindful of my language here. I'll drop a well-peppered F-bomb on occasion, but I won't.
Hey, I think on the last one I just recorded was about me. I think I dropped about 30, so you're good, bro. Okay. Just let him slide.
Well, I'll use it like a good seasoning rather than the main dish. So, and I also I have to take this opportunity to share that Colombia and my travels in the last 3 years have been a result of my amazing wife. It's been a result of I have the travel bug. When I was 8 years old, my father, I grew up in Kentucky, and in a mobile home on the banks of the Ohio River, in a coal mining and tobacco town. And we didn't have much, but what we did have was my dad had his one closest surviving family member living in Cheyenne, Wyoming, which was exactly a 22-hour straight drive. That's without sleeping. That's without pulling over to stop to sleep. That's basically pulling over to get gas and to eat. And that when I was 8 years old in 1982, we loaded up my dad's pea soup green 74 Caprice Classic with vinyl seats and a black Landau top, and we hightailed it. Him, my sister, who's 8 years my senior, and me, and we traveled to Wyoming. And I hated the ride. At 8 years old, I was bored stiff. There were no Game Boys. There was no TVs in the cars. It was me and a box of Tiddlywinks in the back of this land yacht. And while I hated the journey, I appreciated once we got there because I had the new experience of going to Kirk Gowdy Park, which is in central Wyoming and up to the top of a mountain. And I got to play in the snow in July, which blew my mind. I mean, for an 8-year-old kid, my sister and I had a snowball fight. And so that was a really firm impression of like, oh my gosh, there's so much to see and experience out in the world. And so while we didn't have a lot materially, I have such a deep, endearing, and lasting love for my father for opening my mind to the value of experiences. Because the accumulation of things, he would always tell me, he's like, I never wanted to buy a house, which really set up a poor mindset for me about investing in real estate, which I'm not an investor in real estate. My dad always said, buy a mobile home, because when you're finished with it, you can take a bulldozer and shove it over the bank into the river. That was my dad's philosophy. So, I mean, there's a lot of conditioning there.
Yeah.
So that was the inception of my love for travel. And my first job out of college, I was in sales, and I took a job with a company. I traveled all 50 U.S. states, and I got to see all the United States. I got to see 3 Canadian provinces. And so I've just always had this kind of wanderlust while also finding that harmony in the work that I do. But coming back to your question, is that the last few years, and since you and I have known each other, my wife, Ahalia, receives all the credit for inspiring this travel, because she had traveled a lot as well, but not as much as I had. And so our desire to experience the world together, incorporating our work with our life, it was very intentional. And what has allowed us to be here in Maui, and I just want to place a footnote here is that we're not sure if this is a permanent move yet. This was in response to, back in February, my wife is incredibly intuitive. She is gifted with foresight and the ability to anticipate events well before they happen. So we had a conversation where I was living in San Francisco in a high rise in downtown San Francisco that was, I would consider, kind of the epicenter of a lot of suffering, a lot of homelessness, a lot of our neighbors who were living on the streets, addicted to drugs, addicted to heroin, to methamphetamines, to you name it. I mean, it was the most vivid contrast of abundance, of $1 million, 600 square foot condominiums, and hundreds of homeless people living within a couple blocks of my house. Like, to have that contrast, it felt real. It actually had a big impact on us, because unless you're just blind to humanity, unless you're just blind to other people's sufferings, like, it will impact you. And so we saw that, okay, here's all these ingredients. One ingredient is that we loved our home. I loved our home. Ahalia, my wife, wasn't such a big fan of where we lived, but it had been my home for 6 years. You had 21st floor, expansive views of the city. I had a bit of a bay view, could watch the sunrise. I mean, it felt good to me. It felt like an accomplishment to have this home in San Francisco. And then you walk outside and you're confronted with reality. And so taking that as a big main ingredient, combined with this word of the coronavirus coming down the pipeline, and then assessing and going, how will our country respond to this? Well, let's look at the history of the last few years. Regardless of how you feel about our current administration, we just thought, well, are we prepared for this? And if the shelter-in-place order comes, do we really want to be stuck in this high rise? And I'd been out on a bike ride one day, and I came home. It was a Saturday morning, and my wife said, I can't be here. I don't want to be here. We need to go somewhere. And I immediately said, great, let's do it. Like, no hesitancy. I'm not going to argue for this. So we started looking at, okay, well, not knowing much about the virus, do we want to be in a dry climate? So I started looking like Arizona, New Mexico. Then I was thinking like maybe Oregon. And then we're like, wait a second. Hold on. At the start of 2020, one of our intentions was to move to Hawaii. So she said, well, let's look at some places in Hawaii. Okay, awesome. Within 72 hours, we had bought our one-way plane ticket, packed up our home, put all of our clothes into storage bags, put our place up on, available for rent. We couldn't do Airbnb because it's against the HOA, and they're like the Gestapo when it comes to the rules. And on March 5th, we packed our bags and we found a short-term rental here on Maui, and we got here before everything hit the fan. And so it's felt really good to be in this contrast from, again, high-rise living to now looking out of my picture window to an expansive pineapple field and seeing these trees, palm trees, and birds playing. And it was really necessary. I have so much gratitude and I have so much love for my wife for anticipating this.
It's amazing. And you're going to love this next question. So what have you noticed about yourself differently, expansively, since you're in the high rise around homelessness in a city that's always moving, to the person that Brad Johnson is as he sits in that chair today with the nature and the pineapple fields, and your wife's happy, she's happy that you're there. So what are you noticing in that, shift in environment, right?
It's a great question. There's actually more to this conversation. This is where I'm going to get really fucking real. Mm-hmm. And, you and everyone listening, I think we recognize, depending on when you listen to this, is that we're in the midst of a lot of uncertainty right now. We're in the midst of just so much noise and chaos as it relates to this pandemic, regardless of how you feel about it. And I have no judgment here, and I'm not here to assert myself as it relates to this. I just know that there's a massive shift in this environment. So I was married. Holly and I had our ceremony last September, September 28th. And, I turned 46 next month, and this was my first time being married. I've been very intentional in my life of not getting married until I knew it was right, until I was prepared, because I understood that it required that I had a requirement to break the bonds and this generational compromise in my family, where there's been so many marriages, so many weddings. Like some members of my family have been married enough that if they get one more, they'll get a scratch off for a free wedding. It's like they're collecting them, like freaking Beanie Babies. Like, so growing up, I'm the youngest of this, and I thought I'm gonna wait until I've actually met the one. And I'm so, my wife came into my life at a time where I had just come back from helping my family. This was back in 2017, and so we were married in September, and then a month later, almost to the day, we had a massive blow up in our relationship, and it was my responsibility. I was out of integrity. I had given my word to something and I didn't follow through. And it was an accumulation of other small moments where I had been out of integrity with my word. And my wife she is the epitome of the highest character, of the utmost integrity, of living intentionally, that it has required me to expand and to grow so that I could honor her divine beauty and the amazing woman that she is. And I had failed. And in that moment, sitting in our home in October, I felt the third lowest I'd ever felt in my life. They were all equally low. Like when you hit bottom, there's no lower. It's not like I got out a shovel and started digging more. I was at rock bottom again. The two previous times, I'll leave for another story another time, but I was sitting there feeling like, what the fuck? Like, why? Why had I compromised this? Why wasn't I not following through? And I had eroded the trust in our relationship. I had created the most epic compromise in our relationship, where she was questioning our relationship, questioning our marriage. And I made a commitment that day to begin the healing process of going back and digging at the root of where I was out of integrity and the compromise that I'd created in our relationship. So for the past, 6 months, I've been I've been working with a coach who's incredibly powerful. He represents to me what it means to be a fully embodied warrior male in the 21st century. Excuse me. And a man who can stand in the crucible of fire and hold any kind of space epically for anyone. And dude, I broke down. Like there were moments where I reverted back to my hurt 6-year-old little boy who was neglected, who had been tied to a tree at 3 years old because my mother didn't have time for me to watch me. She was busy doing other things, like a dog tied to a tree. And all these things, like I didn't realize how it affected me. And so I had begun the healing process. We moved to Hawaii, and there were still some pressures in the relationship that I had created and some unconscious agreements that I'd agreed to with my wife. And I want to make a distinction between the conscious and unconscious agreements. Conscious agreements are you and I saying that we will show up here at 7 a.m. Hawaii time to have this podcast. An unconscious agreement is an assumption, is maybe is tying our a commitment to an assumption or making an energetic agreement. And so there was a little bit of mud in the water between my wife and I, and it came to a head. Again, like while we're in this space of healing, of growing and being in Hawaii, I made the decision, a very painful decision, that in this moment, I was going to take the month of April and heal myself and to take this time. And so my wife and I actually are not together right now. We've not been together this month. I see the look of surprise on your face. This isn't news to you. This is news to you.
Holy shit. Yeah. I mean, I didn't know.
It was a very difficult conversation, and it was something that I requested. Actually, I say requested, but the reality was more of a requirement. I made a stand, and I actually, like my wife was really hurt by this, and she was feeling even more uncertain. She was feeling fear that I was making a request that it felt like we were separating. And so that we could consciously step into this space. Again, keep in mind that we had just moved to Hawaii. The world is in the midst of chaos. There's so much uncertainty going around. We don't know what's happening. And just a few, we were married 6 months ago. And so all of this is coming to this singular point of like, I am faced with put up or shut the fuck up, Brad. Like, this is me. There is no decision or commitment beyond the one that I'm making to myself, and I am ultimately responsible for everything in my life. And so I have all the resources I need. I have all the years of learning and investing in personal development, that it comes down to this moment. Am I going to step into who I came here to be, or am I going to allow the soft, convenient excuse of today to define my life for being a coward?
Gosh, I don't even know what to say. I'm so blown away right now. Look, similar would be an understatement right about now. I think you know that. I'm not in the mood to broadcast my shit, but I respect you and appreciate you giving the space to say to us, and thank you for being so honest. How do you, as a person, how does Mr. Johnson, Brad Johnson, it's so easy to not stand up and not request the space that you need, right?
Yeah.
It's so easy to just continue to, because it's not like it's terrible, right? But doesn't serve you the best, right? So how do you, as a person, how do you stand up strong enough and understand that you're going to hurt her a little bit, but ultimately, your heart's in the right place, right? You're just understanding that you need some space to kind of like get centered on, this big shift, right? In your life. And maybe there's a part of you, if I'm being psychoanalyst a little bit, that wasn't 100% committed yet to getting married. Or maybe you haven't dealt with that yet.
Brother, that is, yeah. Ooh, that lands. Oh, got chills on that one.
It felt good saying it.
Yeah. Thank you. And brother, I just, like, in this moment, I'm feeling really compelled to share with you how much I love you and how much I appreciate you holding a mirror up to me and holding a mirror up to the truth, because that's all there is a how willing are we to look in that mirror and love the reflection staring back at us? And you're right. And this is, I was ready to commit to my wife. I was ready to get married. And I was also looking for something outside of me as a catalyst to compel me into becoming the man that I must be. And there is no outside catalyst. There's nothing outside of us. There are only the consequences of our actions. There's only the results of our choices and the decisions we make every day to stand up and say, who am I choosing to be today? What am I consciously committing to? And what am I willing to say hell yes to or fuck no to? That is defining me.
I'm going to take that, and I'm going to listen to that every day, because it's everything. And so it's where I'm at right now. So I'm just using it as a reference point.
Yeah, brother.
The greatest tagline for Ironman racing in the fucking world is the only race is you versus you.
That's it, man. That's it.
And what people don't understand is, and I went on a rant a couple podcasts ago, I shared it yesterday. Everybody bends to external forces. Fuck that shit. Everybody invest in markets, right? Oh, it's not the right time. Look, my new tagline, put it on a shirt, call it what you want. I don't bend with the wind. I make the motherfucking wind.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you feel strong enough in who you are to stand up and say, I only accept the best out of myself, and understand that maybe, right? Maybe you got married and you weren't 100% committed, but you're strong enough to stand up and say, but I do want to be, because I respect you as a person. I'm not going to be in this half-ass. Like the Brad Johnson that I fucking know is in this all the way, right? And you're strong enough in who you are to stand up and say, I'm going to get there. I may not be there right now, but I'm sure as fuck going to try.
Yeah, man, I think that's a really important distinction, is that it's that moment of self-reconciliation. And, you know, before we began recording this podcast this morning, the theme is love, is self-love. Mm-hmm. And we are so hard on ourselves, man. We are so hard on ourselves. That inner critic, that voice in our head is so good at pointing out all of the mistakes that we make, the poor choices we made, and the decisions and the results of that. Yet, we wouldn't speak to other people the same way we speak to ourselves. Not people that we love. And so why do we speak so harshly to ourselves? And it does require a break. It doesn't require a breakdown. It's taken multiple breakdowns for me. And I understand that. And I own that. And right now I'm just like feeling this, oh my God, I've never been this vulnerable before. I've had so many conversations with people I love, with friends in my life, with my coach. Like, I don't know how to be vulnerable. It was so scary to me because I was given a self-help book at 14. My mom gave me Dr. Norman Vincent Peale's The Power of Positive Thinking.
Wait, and you're going to love this. Wait, yeah. I'm only interrupting you, and I apologize. I hear you, but you're going to love this. Context is for another time.
Okay.
But I'm talking to a girl who's younger, 26, whatever, been doing personal development since she was 17. She said, there's something about you. I can't put my finger on it, but your message gets to me, and I don't know why. I've listened to everybody. I've been to all the Tony Robbins concerts, everything. She goes, you must have done a ton of Landmark. And I said, I don't even know what the fuck that is. And she goes, I don't understand. I said, I live my life. I was a bartender for 20 years. I've talked to people in their worst moments. I'm from the streets.
Yeah.
And so that's why people can be vulnerable with me, because I'm coming at it. I think in life, and I think this is a habit that people get into with meditation and everything. This is just my opinion. That the structuredness of the Tony Robbins and all that stuff is structured. Well, I'm supposed to feel this way because you said this and blah, 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 blah. With my world, it's upside down. I just roll with the way I roll.
Beautiful, brother.
And so that's why people are so able to be so vulnerable with me, because there's no structure behind it.
Well, and this is something that I really want to acknowledge you for. And why another reason why I love you is that what I've observed in all of our interactions is that not only do you roll with it, you don't bring judgment. No. And judgment begins with ourselves. Again, it's that inner critic, it's that inner voice. And if we're so quick to judge ourselves, then it's amplified in judging others, because what we're judging in other people is only a reflection of those attributes which we don't love about ourselves. So you said something earlier, and I feel you're talking about your quote about blowing with the breeze. Like, you are the wind. I want to share a poem with you that really speaks to me, that I feel is relevant to this conversation, and it may be a good place to end this podcast right now. I believe in smaller bites, not big, full, expansive Iliad conversations worth. Like, let's leave people leaving one a little bit more.
Yep.
And this comes in to do with flow. This comes in to do with flow in life. And the author is Douglas Malloch. The poem is titled Good Timber. The tree that never had to fight for sun and sky and air and light, but stood out in the open plain and always got its share of rain, never became a forest king, but lived and died a scrubby thing. The man who never had to toil to gain and farm his patch of soil, who never had to win his share of sun and sky and light and air, never became a manly man, but lived and died as he began. Good timber does not grow with ease. The stronger wind, the stronger trees. The further sky, the greater length. The more the storm, the more the strength. By sun and cold, by rain and snow, in trees and men, good timbers grow. Where thickest lies the forest growth, we find the patriarchs of both, and they hold counsel with the stars, whose broken branches show the scars of many winds and much of strife. This is the common law of life. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to share, Austin. Thank you for listening. Thank you for, I just have to share how I'm feeling in this moment. Is it feels so relieving to know that I can share this, that I am standing here fully exposed, vulnerable, and it with the world, exposed to the world, standing naked before you, being as real and as authentic as I can, owning not just my greatness, but also recognizing my weaknesses and my areas for growth, because I feel this is how we communicate and how we love and how we connect and how we show up for each other in this world and how we heal. And I've got to say that in 5 days, my wife and I are reuniting, and we're in communication, and my heart is so full right now, and I am so excited to be in her presence. And I am 6'5" and she is 5'1", and I get to wrap my arms around her and embrace her and hold her and love her, and to show her why I'm here and why I chose her and why we get to create this epic fucking life together, and that nothing will stand in my path, that I will fight living for the life that we deserve, or I will die striving to. Thank you, brother.
Thank you. Give me a minute. I'm fired up right now. I just want to thank you. That was a lot. And I appreciate you feeling comfortable enough in the space to share that. It means a lot to me. We've still never met in person, it's like coming back to me right now. But guys, and I'm not going to do all the normal BS I do at the end, because it's not needed, because they'll get enough out of this. But what I'm trying to explain to you by bringing on people like Mr. Johnson here is you're understanding the people that I'm allowed to surround myself with, because I've set an intention to upgrade my circle. And these are the kind of conversations that I'm having off air, right? And how do you not reflect on your own life and be so grateful when a human being like this is able to sit here and share a story like that I know will impact tons of people. And I know it's going to impact me for the rest of my life. So all I'm asking you, everybody, is when you're that's the number one key to take all this from this, because I'm number one guilty of it. Stop being so hard on yourself. I say it every time when I leave a conversation with somebody, like, just embrace the wildness of life. Like, and as long as you set an intention to be a great human being and impact your own life, your personal life, it will permeate in all walks of your life. And all I'm looking to do, there's not a dollar amount I'm trying to get to in a business. There's not a deal I'm trying to get done. I'm just trying to show up every day as the best version of myself. And that's all I ask from everybody around me. That's it.
Yes. Thank you, brother. We have so much more to discuss.
We will. And I'm looking, this is going to be a couple part series. So I appreciate, and I know that you respect it. For this moment, we're closed. This is great.
I love you, Austin Linney.
Love you too, buddy.